In the battle to get powerful opioids off the streets, one drug stands out: fentanyl.
A teenager, let's call her Sarah, gets ready for school. She's bright, maybe a little lost, maybe struggling with anxiety or the pressure to fit in, or the ache of something we'll never fully understand. She takes a pill. It looks like any other prescription medication. Maybe it's a Percocet someone offered at a party. Maybe it's a Xanax she bought online. She swallows it, washes it down with orange juice, and goes about her day. By noon, she's gone. That single pill likely contained just 2 milligrams of a substance so potent, so ruthlessly efficient, that it could fit on the tip of a pencil and end a life. 2 milligrams. That's less than the weight of 2 sheets of paper. This isn't science fiction. This isn't some distant war zone horror. This is America's most dangerous drug, and it's not just dangerous. It's everywhere. It's in our medicine cabinets, in our high school bathrooms, in the pockets of our children. It's called fentanyl, and it's rewriting the rules of survival.
It's 50 times more powerful than heroin, and 100 times more powerful than morphine. Developed in 1960, it was meant to treat medical patients with severe pain so bad existing painkillers couldn't do the job. Doctors thought this was the alternative anesthetic they'd been looking for surgeries. In medicinal form, it's carefully prescribed by doctors for specific medical situations. But beginning in 2013, fentanyl hit the streets. Drug dealers found that mixing a little bit of illicit fentanyl into heroin could make their product much more potent. The white powder could be pressed into counterfeit pain pills that look like Vicodin or Xanax. The white powder is measured in milligrams, and it only takes a few grains for someone to overdose.
To call it a drug feels almost too simple. Fentanyl is a shadow. It's a chemical ghost, invisible to the untrained eye, woven into the fabric of our most common painkillers, our street drugs, our very air of casual indulgence. It's synthetic, manufactured in clandestine labs, often in China or Mexico, then smuggled across borders in packages smaller than a shoebox. A single shipment can carry enough fentanyl to kill every single person in a major city. But how did we get here? How did a powerful painkiller designed to save lives in hospitals become the leading executioner of a generation? The story isn't just about chemistry. It's about human greed, human pain, and the terrifying speed of a silent epidemic. To understand fentanyl, we must first understand pain. Real pain. The kind that doesn't just hurt the body, but bends the soul. In the late 1990s, a pharmaceutical giant, Purdue Pharma, unleashed a drug called OxyContin. They promised relief. They promised freedom from suffering. Rarely addictive, they claimed. Doctors, overwhelmed by patients begging for relief, prescribed it generously. And for a while, it seemed like a miracle. But the miracle was a mirage. Addiction bloomed like a toxic flower across the land. Communities were shattered. When prescriptions became harder to get, when the pills became too expensive, people turned to the streets. Heroin offered a cheaper high. But heroin, in many places, was becoming weaker, cut with baby milk powder or baby milk sugar. Then, around 2013, something changed. Fentanyl arrived.
Fentanyl is a highly potent opioid. It's at least 50 times more potent than heroin. People are being exposed to fentanyl without knowing it. And because it's so highly potent, people are dying at unprecedented rates. What's happened in the United States is fentanyl has entered into all these different parts of our drug supply, including the heroin supply. Cocaine, for example, have increasingly been tainted with fentanyl. Pills that are sold on the street that might look like regular prescription pills are very often fake counterfeit pills that have been made with fentanyl in them. Someone experiencing an overdose will have this decrease in breathing, might lose consciousness, might start to turn blue or pale, and within a few minutes can die.
Imagine the most powerful opioid you can think of, heroin. Now, imagine something 50 times stronger. That's fentanyl. It binds to the same receptors in your brain that heroin does, but with a vice-like grip. It floods your system with dopamine, creating euphoria so intense it feels like finally, truly, free. But that flood comes with a hidden tide. Your breathing slows, your oxygen drops. Your brain, dazzled by the high, doesn't sound the alarm. And in minutes, sometimes seconds, you stop breathing. The irony, fentanyl was born to heal. In hospitals, under strict control and carefully measured doses, it's a godsend. It eases the agony of surgery, of cancer, of the final days. But outside those sterile walls, it's a killer that wears many masks. Walk with me through a city at night. Neon signs flicker, shadows move in alleyways. This is where the war is fought, not with tanks, but with tiny pills and powder in baggies. Meet Daniel, a harm reduction worker in a gritty urban centre. He's not a cop, he's not a preacher. He's the one who hands out naloxone, Narcan, the miracle antidote that can yank someone back from the brink of death. He's seen hundreds saved and hundreds lost.
Narcan is sprayed up the nose, which is very easy for people to administer. It's safe, it's effective, there's virtually no downside to doing so. It's a critical tool that I encourage everybody to carry with them, to have in their homes, so that they can act quickly if they need to. From 2019 to 2021, overdose deaths among 10 to 19-year-olds in the United States more than doubled. In pediatrics, we're not used to our young, healthy patients suddenly dying from things like overdoses, but it's increasingly become a reality for so many of us who practice right now. I have had patients die. I've had patients whose family members have died, and all of these people are children, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, family members.
You see these kids, they're not junkies. They're 19, 20 years old. They took one pill they thought was Percocet. They're at a concert. They want to feel good. Next thing you know, they're blue in the bathroom stall. We get there, we jam the Narcan into their nose, and they wake up. But that's the easy part. The hard part, looking into their eyes when they realise how close they came, the fear and the shame, because they never meant for this to happen. The dealers know exactly what they're selling. Fentanyl is cheap to make, easy to transport. It's mixed, laced into nearly everything. Counterfeit OxyContin, Xanax, even Adderall or ecstasy. It's in heroin, in cocaine, even in marijuana gummies. You don't ask for it. You don't even know it's there. And that's the point. It's the ultimate predator, invisible, inescapable, and utterly indifferent. Let's pull back the curtain. Follow the supply chain, a modern digital pipeline. It starts often in China. Chemical factories, sometimes legitimate, sometimes not, produce the precursor chemicals. These aren't high-tech labs. They're often hidden in residential neighborhoods, disguised as furniture stores. The chemicals travel by ship to Mexico. There, in the Golden Triangle, Jalisco, Michoacán, Guanajuato, cartels operate industrial cook Walters, Sacrogeef. Using recipes found easily online, they mix these chemicals in bathtubs, buckets, even old coffee grinders. The result? A powder so fine, so potent, it's measured not in grams, but in milligrams. A single kilogram, about the size of a bag of flour, can be cut, stretched, diluted, and turned into 1 million potentially lethal doses. It's shipped north in hidden compartments of trucks carrying avocados, hidden in the false bottom of a car, even mailed in packages labelled as electronics. It crosses the border, and then it hits the streets. The math is chilling. In 2023, over 110,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. More than 75% of those deaths involved a synthetic opioid, almost always fentanyl. That's more deaths than gun violence, car accidents, or HIV/AIDS at its peak. Every single day, roughly 300 people lose their lives to this invisible tide. That's one person every 5 minutes. Think about that. While you've been listening to me, someone, somewhere, took a breath and didn't take the next one.
Overdose deaths from opioids like fentanyl are soaring in Minnesota.
Data from the health department show that the numbers have doubled since 2019 to just shy of 1,000 deaths each year.
What is that right there in your hand?
Straw.
Yeah? What is it used for?
For smoking drugs.
How long have you struggled with addiction, especially to fentanyl?
Fentanyl specifically since 2021. It is extremely seductive. Your material worries, your daily worries melt away. Gives you just a wave of calm, euphoria they call it.
How much does it cost for one pill of fentanyl?
One pill, $3.
Every time you take a hit, you're gambling with your life. I got Narcan 3 times in my life.
I've woken up in an ambulance before.
And my heart stopped twice.
But numbers, however staggering, can feel abstract. Let's meet Emily. Emily was 24, a college graduate, worked in marketing. She'd struggled with anxiety since her teens. Prescription pills helped, but then her doctor cut her off. Desperate, she turned to the dark web. She ordered what she thought was Xanax. It arrived in the mail, a perfect blue pill stamped with the correct pharmaceutical code. She took half. She texted her sister at 10:17 p.m, finally feeling calm. Love you. By 10:45 p.m, her roommate found her unresponsive. The autopsy revealed fentanyl. Emily didn't want to die. She wanted to feel okay. Why is fentanyl so uniquely deadly? Science holds the answer, but it's a story written in human biology. Your brain has tiny locks called mu-opioid receptors. When fentanyl slips into these locks, it triggers a massive release of dopamine, pleasure, relief. But it also sends a powerful signal to your brainstem: slow down breathing. Heroin takes maybe 15-20 minutes to slow breathing. Fentanyl? It can happen in 90 seconds. Your body has no time to react. Naloxone is a lifesaver, but if you don't have it right there, at that exact moment, it's often too late. And because it's so potent, even a tiny grain left on your finger or dust in the air as it can be enough. This potency makes accidental exposure a real, terrifying risk. First responders, police, EMTs, paramedics now wear gloves and masks like armor. A officer in Ohio once collapsed after brushing fentanyl dust off his uniform. He survived, but the message is clear. This isn't just dangerous for users, it's a hazard for everyone who might encounter it. And then there's the twist, the cruel irony that deepens the shadow. While fentanyl devastates communities, it's also being weaponized by the very people fighting the opioid crisis, Big Pharma. Yes, the same industry that fueled the OxyContin epidemic is now profiting from the antidote. They manufacture and sell naloxone at exorbitant prices. While harm reduction groups beg for affordable access, pharmacies often won't stock it without a prescription. Meanwhile, lawsuits against Purdue Pharma have yielded billions in settlements. But where does that money go? Too often into government coffers, not directly to the families left shattered, or the frontline warriors handing out Narcan in church basements. The system designed to protect us is tangled in the very crisis it helped create. But in the darkest corners there is light. There is resistance. Meet Maria. She lost her son Lucas to a counterfeit pill when he was 21. Instead of vanishing into grief, she started Lucas's Light. It's a network of parents who go into high schools not to preach, but to listen. They hand out fentanyl test strips, simple strips that turn bright red if fentanyl is present in a drink or pill. They teach kids, never take a pill you didn't get from a pharmacist, test your substances, carry Narcan. Can't bring Lucas back, but if one kid tests that pill and throws it away, if one parent knows to check their child's backpack, then his death meant something. We have to be the shield now, because no one else is. And there are scientists racing against time, developing ultra-fast dissolving naloxone pills, creating color-changing technologies that can detect fentanyl on the spot, grassroots groups operating safe consumption sites, places where people can use under medical supervision with Narcan ready. It's controversial, but it saves lives. One site in Vancouver reported reversing over 1,000 overdoses in a single year. Yet the tide keeps rising. Why? Because the demand for escape, for relief, for that perfect high is as old as human suffering. And because fentanyl meets that demand with devastating efficiency. The war isn't just against a drug, it's against poverty, against mental illness, against a healthcare system that often leaves pain untreated or unaffordable. It's against the allure of a quick fix in a world that feels increasingly broken. Every life lost is a story cut short, a laugh silenced. A dream evaporated, a family forever altered. Think of the sheer waste, the potential novels unwritten, the cures undiscovered, the love never given, all extinguished by a grain of powder smaller than a grain of sand. So where do we go from here? There are no easy answers, but there are hard truths. We must shatter the stigma. Addiction isn't a moral failing, it's a disease. And the person who takes a counterfeit pill isn't weak, they're a victim of a deadly deception. We need radical accessibility. Narcan should be as common as fire. Fentanyl test strips should be in every school nurse's office, every college dorm, every music festival. Harm reduction isn't giving up. It's the most pragmatic kindness we have. We need to pressure policymakers. Stop chasing headlines with arrest of users. Go after the transnational cartels with the full force of law. Regulate the chemical precursors. Fund treatment, not just incarceration. And we need to talk to our kids, to our friends, to ourselves about pain, about escape, about the real cost of that pill in your pocket. Late at night, in a quiet cemetery on the outskirts of a town much like yours, a woman places a single yellow rose on a fresh grave. The headstone is simple. Sarah Miller, beloved daughter, 2005-2023. The fentanyl crisis isn't a distant news story. It's in our homes. It's in our future. It's a tide that won't be stopped by ignorance or denial, only by courage, by compassion, by seeing the human beings behind the statistics, those who live and those who didn't. Because every life matters, even the ones that ended with a single silent breath. Remember Sarah, remember Emily, remember Lucas. Their silence must become our voice, because if we forget, the tide will rise again, and it will take more of us with it.